bus that will stay up till tomorrow.
Are there any additions?
No.
Well, obviously I wasn't recording it. But you know what is amazing? Are schools open today?
Well, I just got a message. I have to confirm it.
And that is exactly my problem, Steve. I don't mean to be critical, but if it is that rivers are close to their brink and their riverine alerts, and there is a clear and present danger to life and property because of river overload, so to speak, and because there are issues which is obviously going to have corresponding issues of traffic, corresponding issues of roads being flooded, and the Met Office has already indicated that it's going to be continuous rain for today. Shouldn't the state be more proactive in stating, look, let's get more people off the road today in the situation of emergency responders, in the situation of not having people risk their lives being on the roads, including children trying to get to school, and just say, stay at home today, XYZ is the case.
Particularly since so many children come from rural areas.
Exactly. And so there is no clear message in terms of saying, which I suppose connects in a kind of way to the poll, in how prepared are you in terms of analyzing what your infrastructure is, what are the risks in terms of people, because having people jam-packed in traffic jams, trying to cross flooded areas or roads that get flooded is not it's not comfortable for anybody, including your citizens on the road.
Recording in progress.
So if you had to say today, look, people stay at home because of the weather, because of the road infrastructure, because of the riverine alert, let's just take it at home today, because a lot of people are not going to go out anyway to a lot of those business places and stuff like that because of the weather.
Yeah.
So people are just not going to risk it.
All right.
Don't want to risk it.
Well, gentlemen, I do have the Minister of Education online, Dr. Nayan Gatsby-Dolly, and I called her because I got a message on my phone that there's going to be no school today, but, I take that sometimes with a pinch of salt. So, good morning to you, Dr. Dolly. How are you?
Good morning, Steve, and everyone who is in the studio with you, all the listeners. I'm well, thank you.
Well, I have the Richards twins. I have Paul Richards and Richard Ragoobarsingh.
Morning, Minister.
All right. So I did get a message, and that's why I called you, stating that there is no school today. Let me just hear it from you.
Yes, there is no school today. I've been in constant contact with Minister Gonzalez regarding the meteorological services and their advisories, looking at the riverine alerts and so on. And very early this morning, he advised me that the alert is going to be upgraded from yellow to orange, and on that basis, we have closed the schools for today.
There's an official advisory where that is concerned, Minister?
Official advisory. I'm not sure if it has been posted on the meteorological services pages just yet. I did post it on my page with the notice that schools were closed today on the basis of that.
When was that posted? Can you tell me? Because I'm seeing it in the Met Office site.
I just posted it on my page. If it's on the Met Office site, it would have just been posted.
So that decision has just been made, so it can be disseminated widely.
It can be disseminated widely.
All right. So all schools, primary, secondary, tertiary, are closed today?
Yes, all schools are closed today.
All right. Can you give us an update on if there's been any damage in the schools?
Yesterday, we had notice of at least 5 schools that have flood damage, so they would have opened today anyway. They're closed for cleaning, sanitization, continue to monitor the river levels, especially because that is one thing that can come after the fact. Even though the rain has stopped, you can still get riverine flooding, so we're monitoring that. But as of yesterday, our official notice is 5 schools.
I just got a message from a parent who said they just heard the advisory and quote unquote, why was this not disseminated earlier? Because my child is already on the way to school.
The advisory just came out, and that's what I just said. I've been monitoring with Minister Gonzalez to get up-to-date information. It came out even before it was posted on the Met's page. That's why I posted it on my page with his permission. So it just came out.
So it's as a result of the upgrade in the alert from the Met Office, that was what prompted the decision to close schools today.
To close schools today, yes.
What is the advice to
Minister, the
parents
issue,
and teachers?
the-
Go ahead, Richard.
no, but Minister, the issue of additional rain today was clear since yesterday. So why wasn't a decision made yesterday, which would have given parents more time to become? Because I'm sure that parent who has just contacted us is not alone. There are many parents dropping their children off to school who may not even
Or who have dropped
be
their
aware
children
of the
already.
alert, or who have dropped their children already. So
And that is
What
why
in-
we've been monitoring it. And I can only go, in the matter of schools, I can only go on the advice coming from the official sources. So yes, there is rain, but that is a normal thing in rainy season in Trinidad and Tobago. So that is why we have been monitoring with the Met Office to see exactly what our situation is, what our prediction is. Because as you know, the saying, God is a Trinity, comes from the fact that even when there are predictions of bad weather, many times it does not come to pass. And therefore, the decision to do these things, essentially close schools, is not a decision you can make very easily. Even yesterday, when we had 110 schools closing early because of flood-related and weather-related issues, that is 110 out of 800 schools. There are parents who have to go to work. Work has not been closed. And therefore, the decision to close schools cannot be made on the basis of it looks like there will be rain. So these things have to be taken on official information, and that is exactly what we are monitoring throughout the night to ensure that we can make this decision in the best interest of all.
What kind of communication has now been sent to schools who have already did an intake of students who may have left home before the advisory has been sent out? And I guess the parents are on their way or at work already, and they now have to be picked up and taken back home. And those situations are really complex situations in some areas, because a parent has to supervise some children, and that parent now has to probably leave work and to supervise their child at home because the school is now advised to be closed.
And that's exactly why the decisions are taken on the basis of official information, because not everyone is in a position to be able to keep their children at home supervised. So only when it is absolutely necessary, schools will close. And that can only come on the basis of official information. So school supervisors have been informed, principals, that information has been and is now being disseminated to principals. Before I posted, of course, I spoke to the director of school supervision, so that has gone out to supervisors, it will go out to principals, and so parents will take the necessary action.
So the schools will accommodate the children until their parents can come for them or until they can make their way back home, because I mean, a child trying to traverse these situations with rain and flooding and debris in the roads is also quite trepidatious.
Every principal has a duty of care for the students in their school and will ensure that children are taken up and so on, leave school before they leave the school compound. That is a normal part of it. There's the MTS guards, there's safety officers as well, that will ensure that this happens at schools.
Is there accommodation at all? And I mean, this is a question and aside for, given that we had gone through the experience of having classes online, I know classes went back out, the state has issued an advisory that all schools are to return to physical classrooms. For these kinds of situations, to elicit a response with a temporary online for a day and stuff like that?
That happens, but it happens unofficially in many schools. This is a position we are negotiating with tutor at this time. Tutor's position is that teachers should not be teaching physically and online based on their particular job certifications at this time. So it happens in many schools, but it's not an official position because of the stance of tutors. So we're working that out now in terms of the negotiations and the job specs of teachers.
All right. So just for clarity, all schools are closed, primary, secondary, tertiary, early childhood care centers, as of this morning because of the change in the status of the adverse weather alert from yellow to orange. That's correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And principals will accommodate students because of the duty of care responsibility until parents can pick them up or they can get home safely.
Yes.
And this will be monitored to see if it is extended tomorrow, depending on what the Met Office advises the Ministry of Education.
Yes, we're monitoring very closely today, and we will see what the advice is for tomorrow.
Minister, thank you for being with us this morning, and we'll continue to update the population as the advisories come out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Be safe. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, of course, that was...
Recording stopped.
No, let it go.
Recording in progress.
There you go, Dorothy. Double whammy there for you.
Well, I appreciate the minister's approach and waiting for the official advisory. I think it's sometimes more proactive to make a decision based on what you've seen, as Richard said earlier on. I've never seen flooding like that in Aruka, and the rains continued overnight into this morning. So a parent sending their child to school and then having to go and pick them up again is just so...
creating another issue.
It's creating another issue. Creating a bigger issue. It's a decision that should have been made yesterday. Or people called me this morning at 5 o'clock. Are schools closed? Make a decision 5 this morning, liaise with the med office and say, what's this looking like? Because we need to get this information out before parents send the children out to school.
Yeah. All right. Well, we do have Gary Benjamin from Med Services. Morning, Gary. How are you doing? Welcome to Paul Breakfast Show.
Good morning to everyone. It could have been better, but nonetheless, good morning.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us, what did today look like? What's it going to look like?
Well, we would be expecting the continued rainfall, which we've been having since yesterday morning due to the passage of this strong tropical wave. The axis has already passed, and we continue to have the back-end effects of it. So we're looking at continued cloudiness, range periods of showers and rain, and the thunderstorm activity included in that.
So the alert, I just got the alert that says people should be, and is it Riverina alert number 2, orange level?
Yes, it is orange level. Yesterday we had a Riverina alert from 5:03 p.m. on yellow, but because the rain has not subsided and the rivers, the major water courses are beginning to breach their banks. Most, if not all, water courses are beginning to breach their banks. We had to go to the orange level because the risk has become high to public safety, to livelihoods and property. So we had to go to orange level at around 6:55 a.m. this morning.
Well, we just spoke to the Minister of Education, who indicated that because of that orange alert, they have closed schools. Does the meteorological office ever give any recommendations to the state with regard to having the population stay at home or move around? Is it safe for people to be moving around today? Because you have some major arteries, and I'm talking specifically about the Caroni River, and if it's close to its limit, is that a concern, or is that a real concern for people who traverse that north-south highway? Because that affects so much in terms of people moving around.
Well, yes, it is a concern because this is the reason why we go to the orange level, high risk. It is a high risk to public safety, so everyone should be making preparations to protect themselves from the event and their property and livelihood and things like that. We are always in contact with the ministers and the ministry and other institutions. So we would advise, and the decision of any one institution or another should understand the industry they are in, how essential it is or not, and they would make decisions to manage their institutions as far as they see best.
Is part of the issue with the timeliness of the reports or the updates, the issue that the weather radar in Trinidad has been down since 2019?
No, I don't think that is the case. But the weather radar is going to be another important tool for us to use, but we still have been giving timely reports.
My comment about timely, and I'm not chastising you in any way. We appreciate that you're doing what you have to do. But one of the issues that's arisen this morning is the Education Ministry had to wait until the advisory came out from the Met Services, which was about 6:55. At that point, there's so many people on the roads already and having sent their children to school already. that now there has to be a recall of children who have already left to go to school, and the education ministry and other agencies, I'm presuming, are awaiting the official word from the Met Services before they can make those kinds of announcements to the workforce and the school children. So that's why I'm asking about timeliness of it in a practical sense.
Okay, well, you would appreciate that the weather doesn't time itself according to anybody, so we have to time ourselves according to the weather developments, so that when, if and whenever it occurs, or we forecast it, or we see it is going to occur, and the announcement becomes necessary, then we do it. We cannot do it before we see the weather beginning to occur. We cannot do it before we forecast the weather. The weather has to begin to do something for us to decide what to do one way or the other. So that what I'm saying is that the weather is fickle, so to speak, at times, and we have to be at the mercy of the weather and its timing.
So is it that would you, I'd asked before whether the Met Office makes recommendations to the state, and you said, well, you do have a lot of interaction with ministers. Would the Met Office have made any recommendations to ministers that, look, maybe state offices should close early today, or maybe close today because of the issue of that orange level riverine alert?
The protocol is that I am not in contact at that level. The director would be liaising with the minister and the permanent secretaries and people like that, and I am sure they would have done the necessary at that level. And as soon as the orange level comes out, or even before it comes out, there would be some information back and forth at that level that people would have understood what is taking place.
Well, I'm asking in the context that schools were just told that they were closed today. Well, relatively just told. Paul can indicate to me exactly what time. But for all intents and purposes, schools were just alerted that they are closed today. But as you know, in Trinidad and Tobago, some children are on the road from 5:30. So there are children in school already. So I'm just talking about.
I understand that, but when the decision to go to the orange level would have been made, some of the first people to get it would have been the people at the permanent secretary, the director, in the first instance would have gotten it and make the necessary connections that he should have to make and contact who he have to contact. So that I'm saying that because the understanding that we have to go to high risk would have come within recent times, and as soon as we understand that we have to go to that, the necessary people would have been informed, and that would have happened sometime before 7 this morning.
Okay, fair enough. So at this point, it's just a matter of being vigilant, because many people are on the road. I'm on the road right now, and there are many people on the road traversing, heading to work, and I suppose some still heading to school because they're not aware yet of the alert. What would you say to all of these people who are listening to us who are on the road right now?
Well, I'm saying that we are at an orange level alert. There is high risk to public safety as far as the riverine flooding is concerned. So you have to be extremely cautious, try to get off the road as soon as possible and get yourself in a safe area. There are disaster management unit numbers for every area. So be in contact. There's also www.odpm.gov.tt for the ODPM. So get in contact with the disaster management units if you need assistance in any way. I'm saying do not go through floodwaters at all, as we always say, to stay away from floodwaters. But the idea now is to make preparations to protect yourself and your family, your livelihood and your property. So if you're on the road, you should be thinking in terms of getting to a safe area.
Okay, Mr. Benjamin, it doesn't get clearer than that. But thank you very much for your input this morning on the Power Breakfast Show.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Take care. Be safe.
All right. Thank you, Gary.
Recording stopped.
I still don't understand why the education ministry can make an assessment of the situation, given what happened yesterday, and say schools closed in a more timely manner.
Yeah, well, Paul, I asked her and then I kept quiet because I didn't want to have an argument.
You don't
with the
have.
minister.
You could use an assessment and say Aruka flood out.
Exactly.
The Riverine Alert says water capacity already at 80%. It is more practical and proactive to say let's close schools as opposed to waiting to 5 to 7, which is when it was posted. When parents leave home in some instances at 4:30 and 5 o'clock, deposit their children in school at 6:30 or are on the way, or have deposited their children at school and have to go back and leave work and pick them up now to go through that drama to go back home.
Exactly.
It just sounds unproductive to me.
Yesterday's rain, and I know I get the minister's point that sometimes in my office may say rain is X and rain is Y, and this is what the weather would be, and it doesn't pan out. But yesterday there was an exceptional level of rain
and an exceptional level of flooding in some areas.
Exactly. So you could have already seen it. And you could see that the rains were continuing and continuing and continuing.
And better safe than sorry, because you don't want children on the roads under these conditions.
Exactly. For example, UE, I think, is closed for the rest of the week.
And they made that decision on their own, not so?
Yes.
Of course, because they can.
You made that decision.
Primary and secondary schools await the advice and Ministry of Education. So if they don't say, people are gonna, and I tell you, as early as when people messaging me, have you got an advisory about schools? I said there's no advisory. There's no advisory. Schools are on. Schools are on. Let your child leave home, those who are traveling, or drop them off, and then have to go and pick them up now, or make them navigate their way back home through this now. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And there's a safety issue here. A safety issue.
Yes, there is.
You can make a decision. You don't have to wait for the next services.
But look at what I just asked Mr. Benjamin. And ministers aware of that information. And if he's saying get to a safe space at orange level, I mean, there is likely to be, he's not saying it in these words, but there's likely going to be a certain amount of chaos on the roads if those rivers were to flood. And they're at orange level, which means, what is the point of a Met office?
Richard, at 80%, you've already reached a worrisome threshold, which was before this orange level was posted. At 80% to me, that is already worrisome given what we'd seen yesterday. So just be proactive, especially in terms of safety and logistics and transport. And we already know that we didn't have to have a tropical wave or depression for it to get tenuous in Trinidad and Tobago. We know that. So this morning, there are thousands of children trying to make their way back home, or parents trying to pick up their children from school because they already dispatched them, and now this came out 5 to 7. 5 minutes to 7 o'clock. You understand? Just that it don't sound right to me. And I understand the minister's approach regarding waiting for the Met services, but you can make a decision based on what you're seeing.
You know what I don't understand about these things, and maybe I am just maybe a little bit more cavalier about stuff like this. What is the big deal in saying, okay, since last night, in light of the weather, in light of people are going to be flooded out, in light of the issues we're already seeing, school will resume on Monday?
It's not exactly because it's just Thursday and Friday.
Yes.
Or Richard, worse than that. And I asked the question, we went through a pandemic. We put systems in place where children were educated from home. Shouldn't we be able to maximize that and pivot easily?
Yep.
Why is it taking so long? And yes, she said they're negotiating with tutor because they will not be teaching in class and at home at the same time. They're not teaching in class and home at the same time. In these situations, you go to online. Online is plan B. Are we going to lose all of that? Have we lost all of that?
Yep.
It should be something as simple as classes, because of the weather yesterday, it's due yesterday evening, out of an abundance of caution, classes will be online for Thursday and Friday. And will resume in physical space on Monday. Is that so beyond us as a country? I don't know. I'm just really going in circles in this country, yes. Because the universities did it yesterday, I taught 2 classes yesterday because they were supposed to be physical. And they said, no, given what's happened and the rain, class online. Press one button, send out the links, students logged on, classes went on as normal online. Because the university made that decision yesterday. And that stands for today and tomorrow also. But primary and secondary school education, that different in terms of systems? I mean, come on. I just feel like we're going in circles. To me, that sort of arrangement and negotiation should be a priority given what we've been through. We'll start from scratch again next pandemic because we won't be able to complete negotiations. Come on, man. No, man. Really. It's frustrating because I know what parents are going through this morning. A parent just messaged me when I sent the release to her. She said, one long strip, she said, because she had to now call her son to tell them, jump out the maxi and take a maxi back up the road. Under these conditions. I mean, from a parent's perspective, wouldn't you get frustrated?
Of course.
So you've been asking about this since 5 this morning. Make a decision. Leadership is about decision.
The more timely information is, it's better for people because they can navigate their day in a more productive and a more efficient manner.
Teachers going out, students going out. And a lot of people now, because their children are at an age where they have to be supervised legally, have to leave work. I said it was this, and I can't stay here. The education ministry say school's closed, so they're going to pick up my child or make sure my child is supervised because that's a legal requirement.
So you have a lot of businesses who are now navigating that people are asking supervisors, well, I need to leave because I have to come pick up my child. I need to leave,
yeah, exactly.
There's no school. There's a ripple effect.
All right. Gentlemen, on the line, I do have...
Recording in progress.
Camille Robinson Regis, the Member of Parliament for Arouca South. Good morning to you, Minister. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you.
All
How
right.
are
Good morning,
you?
Minister Robinson Regis.
Good morning.
Well, I am dry.
Okay, good.
I will say that.
Well, morning, Minister. I know Arouca falls within your constituency, right?
Yes.
Arouca South.
That's why we wanted to talk to you. That was some flooding yesterday. I really feel it for those residents. Can you give us an update, please?
All right, just let me say that the areas that were hardest hit were not in my part of Arouca. The areas that were hardest hit were in Arouca North, which would be the Lopino Bonaire West constituency. Thankfully, in my area, we were not very hard hit. And so we are managing, and the councillors were on the ground from the time the rain started to come heavily. The councillors in my area were on the ground, and they have been keeping in touch with the residents of the area, and they've been assisting. The thing is that Arouca is divided by the Eastern Main Road. So the side that was really hard hit is the one that is closer to the foothills of the Northern Range. And that is represented by my colleague, the Member of Parliament for Lopino Bonaire West. The Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation has been working with him. His councillors have also been working very assiduously to assist people. And the Ministry of Works and Transport has also been working very closely with him. My councillors have been doing what they can to assist on his side also, because we have to work as a team during this time. So we have been covering the area. The Tunapuna Piyako Corporation has been outside. They've been covering the area. We've been working together with the Ministry of Works and Transport. And as I said, thank God, on my side of the Eastern Main Road, it has not been very hard hit, but on the other side, which is closer to the Northern Range, that is where the major damage occurred. That is where we had the person who's still missing, sadly, and I offer my sympathy to the family. I know my colleague was with the family and the villagers from that area up to last night. Two of my colleagues, the MP for Lopino, Bonaire West, and the MP for Davide O'Meara, went and spent some time with the family and with the search crews and so on.
Now, Minister, you've been a parliamentarian and represented that area long enough to know that while, and I'm glad you said that while it may not fall in your constituency, you're out and providing support,
Yes.
because
Yes.
people don't separate themselves by constituency, they're all traumatized.
Exactly. So I just made that distinction because you were saying that Aruka was hard hit.
Yeah.
And I made that distinction to tell you that the side that I represent was not as badly hit as the side that my colleague represents. But we're working together, the councillors, the MPs, to ensure that relief is given to those who were affected.
As an immediate past Minister of Planning and Development, this must be even more of great concern to you, because we've never seen this kind of deluge in the Aruka area generally before.
No, that is not so. We have seen this kind of deluge before. About 2 years ago, we had flooding of this nature, perhaps not as intense, but we did have a serious amount of flooding, and we worked with the Tunapuna Piyako Corporation to ensure that some people who are building on the riverbank and building in areas that they are not supposed to be built on, they have been served. We have told them that we are going to be removing their illegal structures. They have been resistant, but it is going to proceed. We have worked with the Ministry of Planning and Development, with the Ministry of Local Government, Rural Development and Local Government, and the Ministry of Works, because there are a number of people who have built in areas where they do not have the permission, and consequently the corporation has moved against them. And really, it is a lot of instances of people building illegally and of people dumping in the river courses that is causing a lot of this. But then again, it is also a weather system. It's a weather system. When rain falls in this intensity, you will have some amount of flooding. You will. But the issue is we have to be prepared to assist those who may be affected, and we are doing our best to do that. We also have the CPEP crews on standby for helping people to clean out where they have had flooding. We have given out mattresses. We are giving out food supplies. We're also giving cleaning supplies. But of course, as the rain continues, it's difficult for somebody to clean, and then something may happen again, but we are ready.
In terms, we just spoke to the Minister of Education, your colleague, at schools have now been closed, and there are quite a lot of children on the road, and parents now have to go and pick up some children, etc. What are your thoughts on, I know that the minister said they're trying to negotiate this work from home situation, online situation, but do you think this is a priority in this country at this time, so we can pivot under these circumstances more effectively?
Well, as the Minister of Labour said, these matters are before the Ministry of Labour has come up with a policy. You would also know that through NTAC, we had come up with a mechanism for doing it, but it's still in its infancy, so I wouldn't want to comment too much on that. But you do know that these are things that we have to navigate. sometimes we would have to stay home because we can't do any better. Other times we will have to come out to work, but we have to be ready for any circumstance. And because of the pandemic, there had been some level of work from home, but as the Prime Minister said, it's not a policy in place as yet.
And what is your advice to your and other constituents who are looking at this weather and seeing what's happened in some areas for the next couple hours?
No, well, I really want people to be very cautious. They have to navigate based on what they are seeing. I know even before the minister put out the official notice that a couple of parents whose children go to the school that my daughters go to, which is Bishop Hansley High School in Port of Spain, they determined for them that they were not sending their children out. So really people have to be cautious. They have to look at what is being told to them about the different advisories and watch and ensure that they are ready for the circumstances. Make sure that their important documents are well secured. I know we have been saying that a lot, and we have to wait for this system to pass, and then people will get the assistance that they need. I really offer my deepest sympathy to the family that is still looking for their loved one, and also my concern to those families who have experienced a flood. Years ago when I was a child, I experienced a flood in Bigger Martin, and I was a little child, and I still remember how traumatic that was. So I know what it's like to experience a flood. It's not an easy experience to have to go through, but the various arms of the government are ready, and we are there to assist anybody who is in difficulty.
Minister, thanks so much. Safety to you, your constituents, and yourself and your family.
All right. Thank you so much, and the same to you and yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Minister. All the best to you.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Thank you. All right.
As Minister of Housing, Camille Robinson, she's the MP for
Aruka South.
Aruka South. Her colleague, Minister Gonzalez, is the person on the ground now in Lupino, Dabadi, where a lot of the major issues took place. But of course, as I said earlier on, people are concerned all over the place, and you should be careful. The Ministry of Education has issued an advisory based on the upgrade of the Met Services alert from yellow to orange that schools are closed. So we hope all those children who went out get back home safely, and so to their parents. And I realize Ragoobarsingh logged out, yes?
He what? Sorry?
He logged out.
I have not been
making his transition to the office. It's a lot today.
We are going to chat with Lisa Morris Julian coming up after our 8 o'clock news brief, and the chairman of the Tunupuno-Piarco Regional Corporation as well.
Kwasi Robinson.
Sorry?
Is that Kwasi?
Correct. Yes, Kwasi Robinson.
Just to give you a sense of what the Met Service Advisory has said, let me pull it up here. This is real. Oh, yes, real sending in this group, you know. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm getting stuff here. Marvin Gonzalez has just messaged me. So he's dealing with a lot of stuff, so I'm just trying to tell him that we have.
Yeah, so issued at 6:55 this morning. Continuous rainfall overnight has pushed major water courses to critical thresholds, and some may be close to overspilling or already doing so. Periods of heavy showers, rain, and thunderstorms are still expected. The additional rainfall is a combination of spring tides that can keep the river levels elevated, and there now exists a severe risk to public safety, livelihood, and property. Smaller water courses over both Trinidad and Tobago are also elevated and can burst their banks with additional rainfall. Finalize preparations to protect your lives, your livelihoods, and property. Activate your safety plans, secure food and water and medicine for at least 7 days in waterproof containers. Protect important assets and documents. Do not take unnecessary risks. Follow instructions of government officials. Right. Add the description. Major watercourses of Trinidad include North Oropouche, Caroni, and South Oropouche. Watercourses in Tobago include Crooks and Darrell Spring rivers. All right. So you all please be advised and heed the advisories from the Met Services. It's the Riverine Alert number 2 is now raised from yellow to orange.
Yeah. Whereas weather-wise, we are still at a yellow alert. All right. As we're up towards our 8 o'clock news, we are going to chat with Marvin Gonzalez coming right after our 8 o'clock news. We will chat with, as I said, Chairman of the Tunapuna Regional Corporation, Kwesi Robinson, and Lisa Morris Julian as well. All right, that's coming up.
And again, for those of you who may not be logging on, schools are officially closed today.
Yeah.
The Education Ministry issued an advisory based on the upgrade of the Met Service Riverine Alert at 6:55 this morning. So if you send your children out, you need to collect your children or have them head home if they can do so safely on their own. Which means a lot of offices are going to be disrupted today.
Yeah, I mean, I heard your discussion in between making my calls and stuff regarding how late this alert came out, but it also comes back. Oh, Camille Robinson Regis. It also comes back to 1 sec. Paul, go ahead.
Well, we advise you once again to please take necessary precautions. Please ensure that you safeguard your life, your family's lives, your livelihoods, your property. The alert indicates you should make preparations for the next 7 days, in terms of water, food, and secure your documents, and do not take any unnecessary risks out there. Do not venture to riverbanks. They may be unstable. Do not go looking over precipices. The erosion may have taken place in the underside of it and put your life at risk. And if you don't have to leave the house, don't leave the house, please.
Recording in progress.
Right?
All right. Minister Robinson Regis wanted to say one more thing.
Okay.
Hello, Minister Camille Robinson Regis, once again. You're telling me that you need to say what it is, sorry?
I just wanted to make just two more small points. The police station in Aruka was also affected by some level of water coming in and so on, and they were assisting with cleanup and so. I just wanted to make that point, and also that the HT has been monitoring the condition in.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, we really have a
Could
bad
you repeat that
connection.
part about the HDC, please?
Yes, I had.
All right, Minister, we lost you there. Let me call you back. Let me call you back on the other line. All right, I'm going to call him.
Yeah, that line is pretty tenuous. She was mentioning the fact that the HDC has been monitoring the situation weather-wise, and then she got cut off. So we wait till we get her back on the line to get an update where that is concerned.
Yeah.
I can imagine that their phones are going crazy this morning.
Yeah, they are.
It's part of the job, so it's part of the job.
It is. We're trying to call Minister Alwari as well, to no avail. I've been trying that since last night.
Well, he may be engaged in cleanup operations, so. All right, our brothers get testy when the news go late.
She does, she does, but I told her she has to hold on.
Recording stopped.
I'm just trying to get careful how you use the word testy with Paul.
Well, we can start the news, and Avril can cue into Minister in the news, and Avril can cue to an interview. Avril can interview very well,
All right. Let's see if we have a better connection.
She's capable. We have competent staff in the newsroom, A bit emotional sometimes, but we can deal with that sort of experience.
I am not even getting
Very often, quite high strung. That's why she says, "Lord," because she's very high strung.
Call in your homeland in a couple of minutes.
Happy 19th anniversary, Reverend St. Hilbab.
5858.
Thank you.
My prayers and strength go to Virgil Bab
Let's try this.
and Zahara Bab.
I'm getting the minister clear now. Yes, minister, you were saying
Recording in
something about
progress.
HDC.
Yes, I just wanted to indicate that the EC, of course, has been monitoring the conditions in Greenvale, and the pumps are on. There have been no reports of any issues in the Greenvale area, even though the river level is a little elevated, but there are no reports of any issues, and the pumps are working effectively. Also, in the Oropon area, water levels receded overnight, and we have had only 8 homes that reported water entering into their units, and the HDC provided cleanup assistance for those persons, and there are no reports of any street flooding. And so the HDC has also been on the job doing what it has to do for its tenants. And in other areas where we do have tenants in this part of Trinidad, we have been monitoring to make sure that anything that they need, we are able to provide any assistance with cleaning or with making sure that if they have retention ponds, the pumps are working effectively. We have made sure of that. We did ensure that the pumps in the Greenvale and urban areas were working effectively even before. And so we have not had any reports of any incidences. And the Tunapuna Piarco Corporation has been working very effectively, I must say. So I congratulate the councillors in that area who have been working, and they've been on the ground. We had one report of electricity, an outage, and in very short time came and was able to put the lights back, the electricity back on. So I just wanted to say thank you very much to everybody who's been working assiduously to help the citizens.
All right. Thank you so much, Minister Camille Robinson Regis.
You're most welcome.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All the best to you. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, let's get into a news brief. Evie,
Recording stopped.
Evie is in. Let's get into 8 o'clock news brief. All courtesy Sham for Auto Services.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
All schools in Trinidad are closed today. This was confirmed by Education Minister